machine number 3 comes in this box. This machine is slightly more unusual because, apart from this broken piece of polystyrene, which is inconsequential, it has these original polystyrene ends, which actually fit the shape of the Commodore 64. Commodore 65. Oops. So let's take it out and have a look. So these original, I think they are original ends, because it would have been a bit ridiculous to get them custom made for the Commodore 65. This end fits the left-hand side of the Commodore 65, just so, onto the keyboard. There's nothing else remarkable about this apart from there's probably a molding reference number or something like that, or the type of expanded polystyrene. Unsure, to be honest. That's the type of the polystyrene, isn't it, up there, type 5? Perhaps this is a molding number, I expect. You can see here that the joystick ports have left their indentation on this. And on this side, this side is made to fit the right-hand side of the Commodore 65, where the disk drive is. The shape is different. This side seems to have a little bit more damage. I don't know when that occurred. It might be because this is where they snapped off the lugs. They're visible here. Anyway, there seems to be another molding number here whenever this is up here. Anyway, these ends seem to be original. There's a little blue sticker on here. Don't know what that's for. Okay. The machine itself, again, has this pink bag. I don't know if this pink bag was from Commodore or if the pink bag was being used when the liquidators were selling them off in the factory and then they were being sold to collectors. It also came with a very, very full and expired desiccant silica gel cap. Here, let's turn it over. This version, interestingly, has a warranty void if removed sticker. But there's no screw, and the clips here are perfectly fine. It has feet. It has other screws here, and the trapdoor tab is also fine. So let's power it up. So just a little demonstration of how to open these. All you need is very light finger pressure, very light, and it will pop. Here we go. There we go. That's all you need. No extra force. Once the tabs have popped, then this we have here. This is actually the first, I think, Commodore 65 that I collected many, many moons ago. Showing you the circuit board. Note the stickers. These help to fingerprint the circuit board so you know exactly which revision you are getting. Note the version of the ROMs. Note the handwriting. Note that this one has a a number scrawled on the circuit board here in black. Pen of some description perhaps. Maybe grease pencil, not too sure. Note the keyboard by Mitsumi again, with this hard to read, quite faded number here. This machine is pretty much the same as the previous one that did not have, obviously, the metal cover on the circuit board. Things to note about this particular revision is this clock crystal here. Well, it's not a clock crystal. This clock can here. It was actually, when I bought this originally, that was actually floating around loose inside. I had to, the actual can for this is actually wider than the socket, so I had to make a little converter socket to help it stick in this socket better, because when I bought it, it was actually loose and flying around inside the circuit board, and I'm amazed that it didn't actually damage anything during shipping. So if you get this one, do note that this may be loose and you may have to stick it back in its socket. I may stick it down with some tape just to make sure it doesn't come loose during transit, or to try and prevent it coming loose during transit. Note the drive. There we go. Drive looks good. Everything else is pretty much unremarkable about this machine, really. It just looks like yet another Commodore 65. Powering on now. Unlike the other Commodore 65s, this third machine, which is actually the first one that I collected, is much more reliable after initial power on. It doesn't need to warm up. It just came straight up. Again, notice the ROM revision number, again using this disc here. Note that this machine here has a power LED to press shift and run stop, and the disk drive light comes on. This disk drive seems to also be working perfectly fine. Let's not jinx it now. These are all old machines. I am really surprised that after so many decades, they still work. This machine is, well, 31 years old. And there we are, working as intended. Let's see if the Gorilla loads. It should do, because it's the same disk. I think this machine is actually my favorite because it's my first collected machine. I think it's my first collected machine. It must have been slightly before 2008, I think, or early 2008 that I think I got this machine. I seem to remember being in my old place in the UK and repairing the clock crystal, not the clock crystal, repairing the clock Let's see how many of these files actually load. I'm not too sure. Well, that's kind of nice and pretty. So, for each of these machines, it is just the machine that is being sold. The power supply unit, I actually got a custom power supply made by I think it's Mr. Carlson. The old web address is here. I asked him for, that's a nice picture, I asked him for a specific power supply which has more amps on the 5 volt and the 9 volt. And he very kindly added 2 outputs, one for the normal Commodore 64 and one for the Commodore 65, which is a bit like, I think, if I remember rightly, the 1581, but the pins are obviously very, very different. Now, I'm using this power supply because I know that it's reliable. I am not providing any other power supply. I'm also not providing this cable. This cable is something that was handmade by me. It goes from this plug here to RGB S, I believe. Just the machine. So if you wish to test the machine, you will need to source your own power supply and your own video cable. This is very important. This is the Dreamhouse image that's loading now. I don't know what these images look like. Well, I probably do. They're in my memory somewhere, but I don't remember. Okay. Looks kind of pretty. Let's go to the next one, see what is there. Red Porsche. Okay. Well, you can probably guess that this is going to be a red sports car. Loading the next file. Each of these files, remember, I think has 3 binary files that it loads. So the disk drive was just doing a little search or seek to the directory track and then to the place on the disk where the data is held. There we go. A Porsche. And then we have spaceship. I really don't remember these images, to be honest. Oh, the machines. I only have one copy of this disc. So I expect only one of the machines is going to have this disc with it. I have no means at the moment of duplicating the disc for all of the machines. If you want the disc, let me know. It might be a little bit extra. I suppose, really, if you really want, well, I use the power supply for my Commodore 64. That one, not, but maybe possibly this cable, if you desperately need it. Let me know, and I could possibly include it in the package. At a price, of course. I have a whole bunch of other discs as well, but these discs, they're very old. They invariably have read errors on them. I'm surprised actually that this disc is still good, to be honest. I also have a bunch of another box of discs which, to be honest, I don't know what's on these anymore. There we go. These are all nice little pictures. Venus. It's either the planet or the statue. Which one do you think it's going to be? Planet or statue? Well, that's nice. That's another Deluxe Paint demonstration image, isn't it? From the Amiga days. Bunny. I hope it's Bugs Bunny. There's no guarantees. It might be a bunny girl. Who knows? We'll see. My surprise will be equal to your surprise when the picture finally comes up, if there's no loading error. Bugs Bunny. I am slightly relieved. Planets 2. Planets of the solar system? Maybe? Who knows? We'll see. Oh, well, there we go. Some planet somewhere. And there we go. That's all. Let's do a DIR. There we go. Same thing as before.